All right, 10 minutes before noon. A very good morning, wherever you are watching us from, and welcome to this Legal Thursday, where we will be talking matters to do with law, justice, and legal affairs, of course, helping you to unlearn and learn the laws that govern you. Welcome aboard as we seek to have a conclusive discussion, a very interactive discussion in regards to matters to do with law. And this morning we'll be talking about matters to do with copyright and music laws. What do you know about the copyright laws? What is copyright under the Kenyan law, and who is affected by the copyright law? What can be copyrighted? That is the questions that we'll be answering in the next few minutes as we seek to deliberate and talk about the laws in this particular country. My name is Chris Sambu, and welcome wherever you are watching us from. Remember, this Legal Thursday is coming to you courtesy of the Kirk Partnership Week, as we seek to partner with you in all areas as a way of being supportive to this particular television. Remember, you can send in your feedback through our SMS number 011220044, and I'll be sampling some of your feedback as we continue this particular discussion. And with that, allow me to introduce my guest here in studio as we talk on matters to do with copyright and music laws. And on my near right is Nyanchoka Ian, is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and also a lawyer and practicing the copyright and music law and intellectual property. On the far right is Bernard Moniki, popularly known as G. Bena. Is a music distributor as well as an artist manager of different musicians, and I'm also glad to have you guys in part of this show this morning, say 10 minutes before noon. Great to see you, and hoping we can have a interactive discussion, because this is something that is so much common with everyone and the Kenyan people. Just want us to begin at this point, just as a way of introduction to this particular show. I've talked about copyright and music laws, but that is not the shallow part of it. Ian, just coming to you, what do we understand by the word copyright law?
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. So copyright is a vast topic. It's a very vast topic in the law, and it encompasses much more than we originally thought, because we find copyright in areas such as computer programming. We find copyright in architecture. We find in a lot of various aspects of our day-to-day lives, from photography to music to videography. Something very interesting is actually even church summons can be copyrighted. There is a copyright to things like church summons. So it's a very vast and versatile law. And to put it simply, copyright is basically one of the three prongs of intellectual property, that is patents, trademarks, and copyright. For copyright, copyright specifically deals with literary works. We have artistic works as well, audiovisual works. And you see, in those broad categories, there is quite a number of subcategories or genres of that touches with copyright. So it's very wide, and I believe it touches every single one of us. Right? Something interesting about copyright is, if you today take a picture with your phone, if anybody takes a picture with your phone, a picture of whatever it is, be it a bird, be it a building, you have copyright. You have copyright to that photograph. So it's something that affects every single person. Yeah,
and you talked about the legal part of it, and then I want to come to you, Jibena. You've heard about what is talked about copyright, and it's something that especially you in the field of art and creativity, those are things that come up: photography, videography, and all that. What is the perception from your end in regards to copyright and the intellectual property laws?
Thank you for having me here. I think with the much that has been said and the much that has been happening on the whole copyright matter, MCSK and such, people misunderstand. But one thing that I will say about it is very important to protect your works, because copyright is basically protecting your work. The copyright is having the ownership of your work, like you have the legal rights. And when you have the legal rights with your copyright, your artistic works, or even the music works in general, you have all the rights to maybe reproduce the music, perform, and because of the fights that we'll be having here and there, people have gotten to a point of not understanding, or rather not valuing the need to copyright the works because of not understanding. And partially, I will blame this on the companies that are supposed to do that, or the copyright bodies, because they are supposed to enlighten, or rather to educate. Because every day we have emerging artists, and when they're emerging, they come to a field where they get people with different opinions because of the fights we've been having. So one point that I would say, or I would emphasize on, it's very good to copyright your works, because it makes your work safe, and to that extent you're able to do your works without the fear of what would happen. So I would say, like, the real need of copyrighting your works is to have that assurance that you have 100% ownership of the works. Yes.
And Bernard is talking about copyrighting your work, but someone would be asking, what can I copyright, what can I not copyright, in regards to what the law accepts to be copyrighted. Just coming to Ian, what can we consider something that is able to be copyrighted?
That's a very good question, Chris. There are quite a number of things that can be copyrighted. And as just to add on what he's just said, copyright offers you exclusivity in terms of what can be done with your artistic work. You as the author, you decide what can be done and what cannot be done. And with exclusivity, there comes other economic rights. Now you can earn from your work. Now you can, from all the effort that you put into maybe making a certain music, or creating a certain building, or taking a certain picture. Now you're able, because you have exclusive rights, to that particular subject, ownership. So on subject of what can be copyrighted, as I said earlier, it's a very broad category. We can copyright things like photographs, we can copyright music videos, and I'd say summons, anything that really you put in your creativity into it, in terms of let's say you bring it, you brought out a new aspect of it, in terms of let's say taking a photograph, right? How you see it is not, or how I perceive it is not how you're going to perceive it, right? So the uniqueness of how you perceive this, the photograph, right, is what can be copyrighted. The same way to probably architects, right? How if you go to an architect and you want to be built or to be designed for a house, right? And as much as you may have particulars in terms of what you want, there are going to be two distinct houses, in terms of there are certain details that are going to be in one, and they're not going to be in the other, right? As much as they're all, let's say, 3-bedroom houses or all flats, there are going to be certain distinct characteristics that they're going to have, differences that these two buildings are going to have. So that is where copyright comes in terms of this is something unique that only Chris can make, or only Ian can make, or only whoever it is can make. So the uniqueness in these kinds of creativity, in terms of let's say we're all writing songs, let's say about your first heartbreak or something in these lines. Even if it's a song about, let's say, a politician, it's going to be significantly different, even if we both support that politician. So that unique aspect of things is what is copyrighted, how I perceive it and how you perceive it. But it's also important to know that there are things that cannot be copyrighted as well. You cannot copyright an idea, right? Something that is not in any tangible form cannot be copyrighted. If if I start singing a song and in public, and I'm just composing the song as I go, or humming the song as I go, it is not in any tangible form. Somebody can listen to that song, to me humming it, and go write a song that is very similar or exactly the same, and they will not have infringed on my copyrights because it's not in any
Tangible
form. Also, ideas. If you share an idea with someone on, let's say, describe a certain painting, and they go paint that painting, they have not infringed on your copyright because it's not in any tangible form. So ideas cannot be copyrighted. Also, facts cannot be copyrighted. For example, if you're writing about things that happened probably in colonial times or even post-election violence, right? There's going to be a lot of similarities in terms of what you write and what I write. And because these are facts, and we cannot copyright
the facts that is in the public domain.
Exactly, exactly. So I think there is. I think the public understands what can be copyrighted and what cannot be copyrighted.
I think with that explanation, it's out on what can be copyrighted and what cannot be copyrighted. And just briefly, because I understand we're supposed to take a quick, short commercial break before we come back and continue with our discussion. Just to you, Bena, is the perception of what advocate here has put out that this and this can be copyrighted, is that the perception with the public because you've interacted with the creative artist? Just in less than 40 seconds so that we take that short break and then we come back.
Actually, there's been fights because maybe you have a song and you decided to do a cover of the song. You cannot copyright a cover of my original song. But sometimes you'll see a very big misunderstanding between maybe I did a cover and it's doing very well. And I feel I also have the rights over it. And as he said, you cannot copyright a sound. But if you wrote that song, you have the lyrics to the song. You've not gone to the studio. You have the lyrics to the song. Maybe you've written, or you have maybe a track. You've done a track for the song, but not yet recorded. You can record. So even in publishing, even like with the bodies that are copywriting, you have the right to copyright. Maybe you've written a song, maybe you have an idea that you've written down. Like he said, it's tangible. So before you record the song, because again, I know with the industry we have, I can come up with an idea and someone will run it with it. So to make it safe, you can write the song and copyright with like a Music Copyright Society of Kenya, or if there's in a way you can do a track for it, or maybe hum in the track. You own the like the flow of the song, the sound of it, you can copyright. But when it's an idea, you cannot. But on that, even with the wrangles we've been having, the covers, even taking covers, sometimes you've seen people do a cover of a song, you just do a reggae version of a certain song. Then when someone is going to a certain nation, you're restricted because you have infringed the rights of that original
song in that country.
Yes.
I think on that note, we are going to take a very short commercial break. Remember, you can send in your feedback through our SMS number and any questions through our SMS number 0111220044. And then I'll be reading your question as well and also your feedback shortly. But we take this commercial break and then we are back to continue this particular discussion on copyright and music laws.
Pay for your tithes and offerings, PAP, using Family Bank's USSD solution for church collection, Kanisa PAP. All you have to do is register and pay. To register, dial code *325*5# accept the terms and conditions, enter your first and second name, then your church's 4-digit code and church name. Confirm your registration and you're ready to contribute. To contribute, dial *325 *5#. Select your type of offering. Enter the amount you want to contribute. Once done, confirm the amount. You'll get an M-Pesa PIN prompt. Enter your PIN and you're done. You will receive an SMS confirmation from Family Bank. Isn't that easy? Try Kanisa Pap today.
PCA Ongata Booth Girls High School of Excellence is a modern private girls boarding school offering the 844 curriculum. Our vision is to provide an education that focuses on the holistic growth and development of each learner who will be readily admitted to world-class institutions of higher learning, graduating into exceptional students of integrity.
Our school will not only offer academics, but we also have extracurricular activities. For example, we have swimming pool, and it's not only a swimming pool, but it is an Olympic standard swimming pool whereby our students are able to feed their mind and build their mind.
We take care of our girls spiritually. We have a church just across here where they worship every Sunday, and in between the week we have a very strong Christian union. We really encourage you to bring your children here that they may get the experience of learning in a Christian environment.
We also have teachers who are well skilled and trained and also friendly. They teach us to be disciplined, which goes hand in hand with academics. PC Ongata Booth Girls High School of Excellence is the place to be.
Our school is founded on Christian background, and we are surely assuring you that when you bring your girl, you will not regret.
We have vacancies in Form 1 and 2 available for application. You can apply now.
Communion with a difference. It's easy to set up, no worry of spills, contamination or waste. Prepared with very high hygienic standards and strict quality dedicated equipment. You are rest assured that pre-filled Holy Communion elements are completely protected. We deal with pre-filled communion elements for churches in Kenya and East Africa like the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, CITAM, among many others. The advantages of the pre-filled elements are cost-effective, convenient, portable and ideal for use in virtually any environment, less preparation work, completely hygienic, and we have both altar wine and altar juice. Order now by calling us or sending us a WhatsApp message on 07999 88371. Visit our website www.holycommunionelements.com.
Life is constantly changing, and so can your finances. Give yourself the comfort and plan ahead. Protect your family's financial future at Kirk Insurance Agency. We will facilitate a full range of life insurance plans. To find out which plans work best for you, call us on 0700-161262 or 0780-203203. Email us via kirkinsurance@pcea.or.ke. Kirk Insurance Agency, our step into comfort and peace.
All right, welcome back again to Legal Thursday, the Kirk TV partnership week, as we talk on matters to do with law, justice and legal affairs. This afternoon, we're talking about copyright and music laws. We had talked about what is copyright and what can be copyrighted before we took that short break. And I just want to welcome you back again as we continue this discussion. We were talking about, the perception that that is in the public domain in regards to what can be copyrighted and what cannot be copyrighted. And just coming to you, Ian, as we continue this discussion, you've talked about different aspects of art that can be copyrighted, right from sermons, right from photography, videos and all that. But how is the Kenyan law now structured, to protect these works?
So there has been, originally, what the current law that we're using, the Copyright Act, is from 2001. However, it's based on two major treaties that protects Kenyan copyright, Kenyan works of art and all that throughout the world, right? So the Kenyan Copyright Act comes from two laws, which is the Burns Convention and the TRIPS Convention. And these two conventions offer the general framework of how copyright law should be ideally in the country or in countries. And we'd find quite a number of countries. There are very few countries which have not, which do not have similar copyright law to ours. And so I would say that Kenyan copyright law is very competitive in the market, in the market compared to other copyright laws. Also, it continues evolving. For example, there is last year in 2021, there was an amendment brought by Women Rep Gladys Wanga to change to tweak a few items on copyright. So now we have Copyright Amendment Act 2022, right? So it keeps on evolving, but it is very competitive. It's very competitive. That's what it is.
We've talked about the different amendments that are being made, yes. But at least Jibena, just coming to you, you've heard what he's talked about, the way things have been structured from 2001, and enacting amendments that seek to help these artists, or rather, the creative people that have their own art. But again, from where you sit and your interaction with the creative directors, the artists and everyone who's a stakeholder in the art industry, does this law become helpful to them?
It does, because like you're saying, now like Skiza, from the way they increased from 16% to 52%, definitely if you have your Skiza codes into these CSPs, the content service providers, definitely if you sign up to them, your rates will go up, your royalties will go up. So with the changes, they keep on changing because things are changing also. Even like with what the artists are investing into their music. And again, I say like what one thing I would like to say, like in the music scene now we have like different bodies doing this. We have like PRISC, that is protecting the rights of our Performance Rights Society of Kenya. We have CAMP, the Kenya Association of Music Producers, and we have MCSK, the Music Copyright Body. And now, with all these comes the CLSPs, those the companies now that are in charge of giving artists Skiza codes, because they co-work with Safaricom and other networks, service providers, for the sake of artists. So one thing I'll say, when these laws are changed, it works well for the artists. But the point is, if you're not a member of all this, you cannot benefit. You just hear stories, because I know people who just watch, they're artists but they don't know. But as I said in the beginning, there are some artists who don't understand. So even enlightening them and also educating them about this, because like when we say about PRISC, it is in charge of collecting and distributing royalties for artists. according to the way your works is being consumed to the public, matatus and such. And because as an artist, you're not able to go to every matatu, to go to every hotel, to go to every media to know when your song was played. You're supposed to be under such a body so that even when these laws are being changed, even when they are amending all this, you also benefit from it. It was like with the Skiza, we have seen several companies doing that. But if you don't have Skiza codes to your songs, you'll just hear stories, you just hear them like the way Honorable Wanga did. She did a very commendable job, because for long artists have been earning peanuts from their Skizas. But now at least they can say, even from the ones I work with, you can see that change. There's a lot of improvement with the rates. Yes.
And you want to add something on that?
Actually, just to add on that, previously, before the Gladys Wanga amendment, artists would make 7% of all that was paid. And remember, it was 1.5 shillings per day, right? And you'd find that at the end of the fiscal years, companies had netted around 7-8 billion, right? And the artists themselves are just making a mere 7% of the same. But now we have artists as the majority stakeholders. Artists and copyright holders are earning up to 52% of everything that is brought in, and which is, as you said, very commendable. And also, not just on the Skiza tunes and only that. The amendment also brought in something, a body called the National Rights Registry, which streamlines a lot of things for artists. For example, if you're an independent artist, you are able to register your copyright using the National Rights Registry. It's a portal that can be used. So now you're able to register your copyright. If it's a music, if it's a song, you just send copies of the same and fill in the application forms and whatnot, and you're going to get a certificate copywriting, giving you ownership of that particular copyright. And not only that, but the National Rights Registry also has a media watch aspect, so you can go there and see my song was played 10 times on this station, 5 times on this station, so that you can know how much then you'll be expecting to get, instead of just waiting there for the end of the year or quarter or whatever it is, and you just give a certain amount that you do not even understand, you do not. So the law continues changing, but I'd say that the current laws are pretty stringent on issues to do with copyright. But there, of course, it can definitely still be better. Yes.
I was trying to look at the issues that come up with the matters to do with copyright, and you're talking about the amendments being done much better. But on the artist side, some of them think that when I get into this copyright enactment, that I'm being molested, I'm getting into something that is not helping me. Is that part of ignorance to, the amendment of the copyright laws, or have we not done enough that, is the desire of the artist? Are we doing something at the interest of the law, but not at the interest of the artist? I think Jibena, you can take on that.
Like I said, most of them, every day we're having new artists coming up. And definitely when you're new, there are some things you don't know. But one thing I will say is that it is also the duty of an artist, like you said, to make sure that you know what is happening. Before you get into any business, you must know what happens and how it happens. So one thing I will say again is that every day with the amendments and all that, we are seeing improvements. I've been there for quite some time, and there are improvements. It's not like it was before. And even these bodies, they always have meetings like AGMs, where they try to explain and say how they are doing things. Some things they even, sometimes you'll see them even coming up with things like insurance covers for artists. So every day you'll see they're trying to enlighten artists through the meetings, the AGMs, like they'll tell you how they've been able to collect the royalties and the distribution. But what I say is that for those who have the understanding, for that who has the artists were making money, even on the skeezers, but they will not go saying, I've made this money. But the ones who don't have the understanding, they complain and make everything look bad. But one thing I will say is for skeezer, there are guys who are making it well, but the key thing is understanding what happens and how things happen. Yeah, because when you don't even understand how you can market your skeezer, you'll see other people making money. When you don't understand where your music gets connected to get the royalties and the returns, you'll just see the other artists getting paid. But the key thing is getting that understanding and getting informed about the rules and everything that governs you as an artist.
And getting informed about the rules that govern you as an artist. Someone would be asking, how can I copyright my work then if at all I have to do that? You know,
Yes.
What is the procedure like for someone perhaps who wants to copyright their work?
Okay, before I get to that, I just want to add something small.
Yeah, you can add.
What he was talking about. I feel there is a bit of ignorance when it comes to understanding artists or creators in general, understanding how copyright works and how they can just ignorance on copyright law as a whole. Because you find, for example, an artist can license their work, right? And according as per the law, licensing your work to, let's say, a third party, and there is no quotation of phrase of time in terms of you've licensed it for 5 years, 2 years, 3 years. It means that by operation of law, it's you've licensed it for 3 years. Okay, after 3 years, the license expires and it goes back to you. So you'd find artists who probably license their songs and they do not know that after 3 years it will probably, the license will come back to me and I can license it to another body as well. And there are also different types of licenses that can earn all these artists money, but I feel like they're not able to, they do not fully understand, therefore they're not making the most out of their copyrights. On the question that you asked on how we can, how artists can copyright their works, one, it's very straightforward. If it's a painting or architectural work or a song, it's the same procedure. It's there is a form that is there in the Copyright Act. There is a part, there's a schedule for forms. I think it's Schedule 1 in the Copyright Act. And so the only thing you need to do is go to an advocate with that form, have the advocate commission it, that it's actually your works, and submit 2 copies of the said works, right? They can be in form, in whatever form it really is, as long as it's something material, right? And then the same can be uploaded on the National Rights Registry, and you're going to receive a certificate that you own this copyright. So it's a very straightforward procedure. Yeah.
And talking about being a straightforward, procedure, I just want to come to Jibena. He's saying it's a straightforward procedure that it's very easy, even from what he's talking about. Just approaching an advocate like himself and telling him that I want to copyright this particular art I have done, maybe a song, maybe a drawing, and can you guide me through? And then the procedure is very short. But is that what is happening? Because cases of artists complaining that my work, then at the end of the day there is no case to answer because you didn't copyright all this. And then when you ask the artist why are you complaining, says like the procedure of getting the copyright law, the procedure of copyrighting your work is too long. Where is the failure in that regard?
Not getting that information, not you having the hunger to know how it happens, because it's very straightforward. Like I said, we have like a camp, Kenya Association of Music Producers. I'm very sure not many artists understand that they can be members of camp because they believe they are not producers. But one thing is that if you're the executive producer of your work, like you paid, you have all the rights of your music, you're also a member of Kenya Association of Music Producers. As a fact that you are like an executive producer, like PRISC, Performance Rights Society of Kenya, if you have released your songs and they're being consumed by the public, the music is being performed either in weddings or maybe you're not on medias, but your music is being consumed, even maybe in matatus, you're also supposed to be a member of PRISC. You come to Kenya Copyright Board, MCSK, which now is for authors and publishers. You are, as an artist, you're an author of your music. You're a publisher. You're also supposed to be part of that body. But sometimes I work with artists and someone tells you, but I'm signed to MCSK, so I don't need the others. What they don't understand is that everybody, every company or every organization of the 3 CMOs, collective management organizations, they have different roles that they play. So when you're in one, you can be being paid or getting your royalties from that one company. But there's another artist who is getting royalties from the 3 companies because you're signed as an executive producer, as a performer, because your music is supposed to be protected for the rights of being performed or being consumed by the public, and also MCSK. But now the issues that have been there, we all know, because of the amount of royalties artists have been getting. Sometimes you see people getting a general distribution of 2,000, and that is where the fight comes in, because when it comes to general distribution, every member, every artist who is a member gets an equal amount as long as you registered as a member. Then comes now the electronic distributions, comes the ones that you get as per the way your song is performing in public. Now this is where guys don't talk. You don't see the big names talking, because they get money according to the way your music is being consumed by public, being played on air. But now this one that we get all like general artists, right? Generally, that is what people discuss about. But there's a lot, like you say, there's a lot that artists earn from their music. When you're performing, I've seen even artists, I've worked with artists whereby if your music is being used by maybe a bank in adverts, these bodies, the CMOs, they're in charge of even negotiating the amount you're supposed to get. But when you're working as an individual, like you are not under anybody, it is very easy to be exploited, because someone will use your music, distribute, or do even adverts with it, but you don't have the power to maybe approach them. Because in the first place, like you said, you don't even have a lawyer. When you do that music, you just do it. Maybe if you're born again, you do it like it's ministry. But when your music turns to this other end, it's no longer ministry. People are consuming it. When they buy in Skiza, it's no longer ministry. Now that there's money that comes in. So you need even to have a lawyer. You need to have someone to enlighten you on what you need to know. When your music is being consumed in this manner, what are you supposed to get? But ignorance, or sometimes not even having the understanding. So you get even a song that is being used in all screens as an advert. But if you get into the bottom of the matter, the artist, even as he said, even copyrighting your name as a brother, like Kekobo copyrights, you can copyright your name, your artistic name, and your brother as a person, so that even when you're doing adverts, you're able to get a cut because of your brand. Leave alone the role you're playing in the advert, but also as a brand, because creating a brand is not easy. Being visible every time is not easy. We do the branding and marketing, and we know. So for you to be in that place, it has costed. So anyone using your brand, or your name, or anything of the sort, there's something that comes with it. But if you're not in any of those bodies, it'll go with the wind, because you have no one to protect you. Because as a fact, you cannot be your own boss when it comes to this. That is the reason why these bodies exist. And they're regulated by Kikobo, Kenya Copyright Board, so that they are able to do, every CMO or every company is able to do what they are supposed to do. Collecting, distributing, issuing licenses, and even monitoring your works, wherever it is. So it is good, I would say it is good to be part of the bodies. And it is in public. I don't think there's an artist who has not heard about MCSK. I don't think there's an artist who has not heard about PRISC. So it is upon you to get someone who has gone ahead of you and ask them, what is it all about CAP? What is it all about NCSK? Because even when you hear there's some amount of money that has been released for artists, if you're a loan ledger, you cannot get the money. You have to be under. Your name has to be under a registrar as an artist, as a registered artist. That is the reason why you're supposed to at least be under a company or under a body that recognizes you as an artist. Yeah,
I think that is quite insightful in regards to how artists manage themselves. But again, the artist would also be wondering, if I copyright my work, is there a period of time that my work will be copyrighted? Or if I copyright my work at this point, then until I'm dead, then that is that is my work. Ian, what would you tell us about that?
Okay, so there are two things one thing that I'd like to clarify first. Yes, as soon as you create something, regardless of the minimal effort that you've put into creating your work, or all the money that you spend, so millions and millions into creating this work, yeah, you gain copyright at the point of creation. Not at the point of registration. Registration is a mere formality in terms of now you have a certificate, now it is officially known that this is my work. But even without the certificate, the work is still yours. You're just going to have a harder time proving that this work is yours in case people infringe on your rights. Okay, so copyright is a natural right that every creator has. So as much as we would advise for you to always copyright your work, because it would be easy for somebody else to come and say that, hey, I did this first. You're the one who's probably, if you have a copyright, then you'd have a claim against them. An easier claim against them. So that is the first thing that I'd like to clarify. So secondly, on the period of which your works are going to be copyrighted. As I said, the law is very friendly for artists. It actually gives an artist for musical works, for literal works, that is books, poems, music, computer software, because our code is written, architects, and so much more. 50 years after you die, 50 years after the death of the creator. So you'd find, for example, an artist like Issa, who died in the early 2000s, still, if he owned the copyrights to his music, still has, or his estate still has copyright, the rights to his music, right? And they can earn from the same by, let's say, licensing the copyrights to advertisements, organizations, and whatnot. For literary works, you get 50 years after the death of the creator. For other works, let's say broadcasts, you get 50 years after the broadcasters, after the original broadcast was made. So it's you get a very good period of time for you to actually earn back your
And are there scenarios where the law looks and says that you must be this way, or rather eligible in this particular way for us to accept your work? Or, for example, you talked about having a photo and having a music or something. Does the law as well as to tell you like your music should be this way, your photo should be this way for us to copyright? Does it stipulate something like that? No,
no, because copyright has a very wide range. Let's talk of something like Schizotune. There are just mere recordings of people talking on Schizotune, right? And the same is copyrighted, and that is like me and you probably having a conversation. We can record the same, and that is recorded and put it on Schizo, and we still earn, right? So it doesn't, there is really no
limitation to what you can copyright.
Limitation to what you can copyright. It doesn't need to be something that you put in so much of your money into, like production and whatnot. It can simply be a poem that you've written down, or a song that you've just written down, and it's yours. It doesn't have to be a banger. It doesn't have to be whatever it is. It's just as long as you have put in the creativity into it, you own the rights.
It's talked about, you know, there not being any limitation of what can be copyrighted, and as well you also put out that after your death, 50 years, your work is still valid under the copyright laws. But is that something that the artists are aware of? Because that is something in the law.
Yeah, I don't think most. Okay, well, to get back to where the question was, there are companies that are exclusive and others that are non-exclusive. That is the first thing that you should always check when you're signing up to any company. Because sometimes an artist will just put a pen on paper and maybe you sign an exclusive thing that ties you forever. I always advocate for non-exclusives, because if you're in a certain company, maybe I was talking about CSP, the content service providers, the skizzers, and maybe you feel this one is not doing what I'm not getting what I'm supposed to be getting. You should have the rights to move to another company. So that is one thing. On the limitation, or rather, what can be taken or what can be regulated, I was laughing because there's a person will just get into the studio and do, you've seen so many kinds of songs. And you know the bodies cannot tell you, here iko. They still register your music venye iko. So public ndio itakwambia, tutaiona ikitrend kwa mitandao, producer na nini ashikwe. But the bodies, because that to you, that is the best you could have done. That is what you know about music. So they'll still and you see, the point is, even when you do that thing and it's trending and people are sharing and sharing, it is still being in public domain. So I've seen people who do those kind of music that you don't know even, they were speaking, they were rapping, you don't know, but they end up being very big when it comes to whatever they get, because the role of the bodies is to copyright whatever I come with. Even if I've spoken to some guys who are in media, and maybe there's something that they do that is very unique, and you just get to them and you tell them, like, they can cut part of. These are ways some guys will sign up from shows, and even what they've already done, even including my own bishop, you go and you cut some of the sermons that he has done and the way he does them, something that he has already done, and then you sign them up and they start making money from that. So I don't think there's a regulation of what you're able to do. Right now, even advocating, there's something that has come up that is called this video on demand. You can just be on your phone, you do something, encourage people, and it will be copyrighted because it's your work. And you know, with the changing times and the way digital era and the way things are changing, every day people are changing the way they are doing content. So sometimes you just be in the house and create a content. You cannot be limited because you did not get to the studio. You can, I've seen guys who do on phone, like they just voice something on phone and it's copyrighted, and they even earn out of it. So maybe even to speak to someone out there, you can do whatever you feel. Maybe you have a very good voice, you have something that you feel, maybe you're an encourager out there, maybe you're someone who can enlighten people. You can do that thing on your phone and copyright it. And once they copyright and people consume, because you're not able to tell on this side who will consume your content. And you can do something that is very simple. Actually, simplicity sells. You can do something that is very simple without getting to the studio and copyright it, and you'll be shocked at the way people consume, because people will take what is available and what they feel works for them. So even if you don't have to go to the studio and you want to do a poem, as long as it's quality, because again, if you don't do quality, we who are the consumers may not take it. But as long as you can get a good mic, lapel mic, you can get a good phone, and you can do those things from the house, you can copyright and still earn from them. Yes.
Just coming to you, Ian, yes. I talked about, of course, he has added on the real aspect of the artist on what they can do. Yes. But I want to understand this point, and I know many of the viewers perhaps would be questioning themselves. For instance, say you are a photographer, you're working for a certain company, you go outside there and take a photo. You take a photo as the photographer, and then this photo, you are taking it while employed by this company. So in terms of copywriting, who is the owner of that particular photo, as well as an artist making a musician perhaps making a song, and this song is under a certain label. So who owns the song when it comes now to copyright, as well as the photograph?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So on the photograph, right? The first thing that we'd probably have to ask is, was this in the normal course of work? Right? For example, if you work in a media station and as probably a photographer, right? Or a videographer, and you're out there using probably the company's machines and whatnot, and you see a bird flying and you take a very good video of the bird flying. But remember, the equipment that you're using are owned by
the company,
the media company. And probably if it's done at working hours, it's probably also on their time as well. So more often than not, when you are employed by, when you have an employer and you produce, if your line of work is probably in the literary or creative side, and you produce a certain kind of work, then your employer owns copyrights to that work. However, if let's say you're a lawyer and you take a picture outside your law firm, that has nothing to do with, right? My employer is not going to come and like, I own this picture now. So it's very good to distinguish these two, and there are a lot of instances where probably in software programming where software programmers have written code using equipment, not even like at the workplace or at their home, using equipment of their employers, and courts have held over and time again that the said programs are owned by the employer. So I think creators should be more cognizant of that fact, that anything that is done probably using the equipment of your employer, or anything done in probably your time in employment and whatnot, you might not own that copyright.
And you just want to finish your point? Or I can pose in another question on the same, even as you handled that. It's about the same scenario that you've put out. Like the employer owning that particular photo that you've taken with the company's equipment. But just to remain with you, that aspect of, is there full copyright, or can I partially be part of copyright in maybe in certain art? Maybe, for instance, can we own the same art? Two people, can we copyright the same art, two people, and have maybe have rights or equal rights?
So when it comes to copyright, let's say we're doing a song together, right? And you do one verse and I do one verse. We both own the copyrights to that song, right? Because you've put in your unique aspect of it, and I've put in my unique aspect of it, and we own it jointly. Okay, and an interesting thing about it is that I would own 100% of the copyright to that song, and you would also own 100% of the copyright to that song. It is not something that can be divisible in terms of you did 95% of the song, and then I did 5% of the song, so I get more royalties or anything in those lines. Remember, copyright is not just about money. There are a lot of other aspects to it in terms of, let's say, distribution, or it being used in certain aspects of it, of life, really. So, if we do any work together, then that would be jointly owned, and ownership would be 100%. Ownership of the copyright would be 100-100. And that brings me to the next question that you'd asked, on probably who owns music when it comes to production and all that. So there is, when it comes to music, there is a lot that goes to it. Okay, you might find it's 2 or more artists on the same song. You'd find a producer is also on the song. You'd find actually a lot of people employed who put in their skill into a videographer who put in their skill into making the song, right? The work of art. However, how it's differentiated is that were you employed or were you hired to do this certain job, or were you just doing it as probably part of making as one of the creators? Okay, so if a videographer is employed to make a video, versus him making a video out of him being a creative and making a video out of his own
creativity.
Yes, creativity. He only owns copyright to what he
did on his own.
Yeah, what he did on his own, right? What he's been employed to do, or what we normally call it contract of service. What he gets, what he does under contract of service, it belongs to whoever contracted him to do so. So if a musician comes and probably pays the producer, pays the videographer, pays people mixing the music and all that, right? Then he retains the rights to that music. But if you go to a producer and you sit down with him and probably come up with the beats together and lyrics together and all that, and then at the end of the day you cannot come and claim that you wholly own that song and he was just working for you, because he was not employed to do so. It's not a contract of service per se. But he works in the music industry a bit.
Yeah,
maybe could,
I think even as he speaks about the same, I was following up. You saw this song Jerusalem that was done, challenged by just everyone. I was following up on that song, and it brought in some copyright contention in regards to who owns the song, because there is the person who sang the song, but then eventually the copyright music is on the producer. The producer owns the song, but if you look at who is performing the song in stages, who is being invited in big events for that particular song, it is the artist. So just coming to you, Juliana, because it threw the ball to you as well, because you work with these artists and also you've interacted with them. Considering that particular scenario where these are big artists, is become very big and the song has become very big, but now when it comes to copyright, he's not the owner of the song. The song now is the producer is the owner of the song. Is that being duped of artists, or rather are we seeing a sort of ignorance, in what you are doing?
I'll start from that point of ignorance, because the debate is never there when the music is not big, but wait until the music goes viral, and there's what comes with that song being a hit. That is where you see the debate. And the ignorance part is that we sometimes assume things. When you're doing a song, especially with a person, because I've seen so many collabos bringing issues. When you're doing a song with a person, it is very good to be clear on everything. Or when you're coming together as a team, we are a group doing a song together, maybe because at that point you're not able to raise money by yourself, so you come up together so you can do a song together so that we can share the cost. And then when a song comes, you must have seen most of our groups in Kenya don't go for long, because when they're starting they're very okay, they're doing very well, but when a song becomes big, endorsements come. That is where fights come in, because from the word go there were no written agreements. There were no, we just did things kienyeji, and that is one point that I've seen even with artists, because if you go to those CMOs and even those copywriting bodies, it is very clear what everyone is supposed to be doing. Like for example, you said very well, when you go to a studio and you go in there and you have no idea of the song that you're going to come up with, do you know that a producer is also supposed to be getting something because he helped you create that song? As a creator, as someone who also helped you arrange. So all those are in that paper, that there's a percentage of even the person who did backups. And it all depends with, as you said, on the agreement. If I came, I did backups, and you paid me, that is okay. But if the song becomes big, and I say, the amount that I was paid is not equivalent to how the song is. So everything from the word go, especially when you're dealing with songs, it is only that we are so casual sometimes. And that is what happened even to that song. Because when we're just vibing in studio, we're just vibing, I come up with an idea. I've seen right now, like even DJs, even a producer, you'll just a song that is owned by a person and he has sung nothing into that song. And in that case, sometimes you'll get, maybe I'm a producer or I'm a DJ. You've seen that even internationally. But it's only that we borrow things without getting into the details. You see, like the likes of DJ Khalid and the rest, they will come up with an idea and then get artists to voice the song. And then you own the rights of that song. Definitely there's an agreement. There's no way that I can own a song and I have sung nowhere. There must be an agreement. There's something maybe that we agreed and even I paid you up front. But now when it comes to public, because the public will judge with what they see. And if an artist comes and says, I did this song, I did everything, and then I'm not getting my... We tend to believe into that. And the problem we have is that if the public decides to judge you, you know it will not go well. So it is always good to have written documents. So that even if I'm doing a song, and you're the person, because if I come and you see it's me who is singing on the whole song, and then someone else is saying he owns the rights of the song, then the public may not understand all that. But if we had an agreement that I'm going to come up with an idea, you're going to voice the song, I'm going to pay everything, and then I'm going to pay you, then you have nothing to claim out of it. Or we can do revenue share. If this song goes this way, maybe I can own the skizers because I've also sat with songs that we agreed on that. Maybe I can have the 100% rights on skizer. You can have 100% rights on YouTube or any other avenue of making that money. But because sometimes when you're doing those songs, you're very naive, and most of us speak to the upcoming, we don't consider that. And even sometimes you get an upcoming, when an established artist comes to you and tells you you can do a collab, or you jump into it. Because you've been admiring this person, you've been looking up to that person, you jump into it. Then when a song does good, because those are cases we have also seen, now that is where the debate comes in. I was duped. But if there was an agreement, maybe there was a gentleman agreement. Let's do this song, I'll pay up everything. And because it was very easy, I'll pay up the studio and everything. You feel the joy of being part of that big collab. But when it now brings money, then reality hits to you that this song is also earning money, but I'm not getting money. But because I just got into it casually, now you have nothing you can claim about. And eventually, the sad bit is that the one who is established might carry the day. So people will be like, are you saying like you made an impact into this song? This one we know, who are you? Now that is what happens. And you see so many bitter artists. Out here, there are so many people who are bitter because you did an input. Maybe even the song belonged to you, because most of the time you see a new artist comes with a very fresh vibe. And then someone jumps into it because of the name they have and the brand they have, a song becomes big. But agreeing from the word go, and writing, having it written, having someone even like a lawyer to document it, and involving the parties that are supposed to be there from the word go really helps. So that at the end of the day, you don't see the wrangles and the fights that you see, because sometimes a producer will just tell you, come and voice a song. And then you just jump into it without asking the terms. And then later the song does good, and the public can see it is you we are seeing. How comes your life is not changing and your song is so big? So you get bitter because for real your life is not changing, because you're not getting anything from because that song. There was no agreement from the word go. Yeah.
I think you've talked about penning down everything through an advocate or even a lawyer. But I just want to come to you, Ian. This scenario, for instance, just following up the other day when the largest music group in the country, Sauti Sol, when they picked a copyright wrangle with the political coalition because they used their songs. They used their songs against their copyright, the copyright law. I was looking and evaluating in that scenario, and the position of the coalition was, we have paid for the performance of this particular song, and then Sauti Sol says this is our content. You cannot just use our content and claim that you've paid for it, through the performance act. In that scenario, is there a case to answer for this coalition? For instance, in this case where they were saying that we are the owner of this song, we should give consent to this song, but now the coalition says, yes, you are the owner of the songs, but we have, paid for the copyright rights to perform this song.
So on that, see, once you pay for the performance rights, let's say we believe that all your music is gotten in a certain kind of way, right? Let's say if it's bought, or let's say they bought a CD from Sauti Sol themselves, right? And you have performance rights from, let's say, you paid for them, okay? Even in a matatu, see, those tickets and whatnot, right? There is a reason that they exist. So you using those rights really does not constitute a claim, because in this scenario, it's not you using their music for monetary gain per se. You're not trying to make money off it. You're not trying to distort it in any way. You're not trying to you get what I'm saying, right? However, we should also be cognizant to the fact that artists or creators in general have moral rights to their works. Okay, so and these moral rights include things like, even if I have sold 100% of my copyrights, even if you own them, you cannot say that it's done by another artist, or you cannot use it in a way that makes me look bad as an artist. And moral rights last as long last forever. So regardless of whether or not I no longer have the economic aspect of my music, I have the moral rights. And if I feel that probably my music should not be played in certain scenarios, I can express the same to whoever is infringing on my moral rights and be like, I'm not comfortable with ABCD because ABCD, right? However, those moral rights have to be balanced with the economic rights, in terms of these people had already paid the performance, they already had their license and whatnot. So it's a very delicate balance, where you'd find both Sauti Sol and the political parties had a case
to prosecute.
Yeah. So it's
about
delicate.
Understanding where you strike the balance, because when you talked about these artists having to involve themselves with the different CMOs and the bodies that are in charge of handling your music in all aspects, but you see the PRISC, that is the performance rights, and in that case, MCK, the Music Copyright of Kenya, Society of Kenya, and the PRISC and the other organization and bodies clashed in that particular case. There was this one issuing this particular statement, and then PRISC comes and says, MCSK is misleading this artist because they did pay for the performance of that particular song under such grounds. And then the coalition says, yes, we paid for that particular, so the artist doesn't, in that case, became that they don't know what they signed, or rather what they paid for, because this is a case that presented itself. So in that case, the clashing between the music bodies showed that there is a less understanding of what indeed was in that particular agreement. So in such a scenario, where does the artist now stand?
This Kekobo, Kenya Copyright Board, that regulates the CMOs, is the inside. It's like the body that watches over all these others. But sometimes you see, like I said, when there is no money, there are no fights. But when money comes in, it was like on the performances, it should be very clear which body, which of the CMOs is supposed to follow up on that. And it shouldn't even get to some points where an artist is even fighting for themselves. Because the body that agreed on performances is the one that is supposed prior to discuss, or rather to inform maybe the songs that are being used. I've seen those are political bodies sometimes getting artists to perform, and they are very clear on that. We want artist A, artist B, artist C. And when they call them, they tell them this is the deal, one-on-one. So it is also good for an artist, when you call to such things, also involve the body that is supposed to call to cover you, so that even when you're doing all those things, there's a way, or even involve a lawyer, so that if you have agreed that I'm coming to perform on this day, and this is my performance, the time, the duration I'm supposed to perform, we have everything agreed and written down. And this is the amount I'm supposed to get before, like the down payment, and what I'm supposed to get after. Everything very clear. So that even when it comes to that point, for one reason I'll say, it is not you as an artist who is going to fight the battle. Because again, when you fight, the public is watching, and you have fans. And especially when it comes to the political scene, people have different aspects.
And concepts.
And someone will take you like, why are you bullying my side of my side? So it is good, even when we are doing this, we also do it in a very wise way. If you have a lawyer, if you're someone who was there when all that was happening, you'll not tarnish your name fighting. Someone will do it on your behalf. Because when these bodies, when money comes in, even you've seen in the distribution of, when you see the distribution of royalties, there's a lot of fights. Registration, issuing of rights. You hear this company has been registered, they have failed to submit the data of the names they have, all those things. They have not submitted the accounts of how they paid people, the artists. So it is something that is sometimes very ugly, but we have this Kenya Copyright Board that now regulates all these other CMOs. It is in charge of regulating the CMOs and also educating. It should educate. Like if someone calls me, I should not be so quick to jump into a deal. At least before I agree on what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to know what am I expected to do and what do I expect from that end, and is it in writing? Anything to do with those big bodies and all that, it is always good to have it written. It will save you a lot. And in writing, it is not you. Get someone who can do all that job for you. Because if it gets worse, then it has to be a court case.
And on that particular note, we are going to take a very short commercial break, and then we come back to conclude this particular discussion. So we take a very short commercial break. Don't go far away, because we'll be back to complete this particular discussion.
Health, mental, physical, and of course, spiritual.
Nitakuwa na biashara nawe tangu macheo hadi machweo, as we put every matter into context.
Together, we build a lawful nation.
Remember, family is not only important, it's everything.
I support Kirk TV. Tujenge Kirk TV.
I'm Celestine Kemunto. I'm taking a bachelor's in business information technology. I chose ZTech because, first of all, ZTech has been ranked among the best in ICT, and I thought it will be best. It will be best for my course. First of all, there are so many ICT labs in ZTech University, which enables students, mostly those who are pursuing IT courses, to get to know more about their courses, of which the labs have so many computers which have Ethernet, which is easier for them to browse. If I were given a chance to choose another university, I'll definitely choose ZTech University.
Apply today. ZTech University. Invent your future.
We protect what is important to you so you can focus on accomplishing your life goals. At Pima Insurance Agency, we cover motor vehicles, personal accidents, medical and educational policy insurance countrywide. Our offices are located at Franchise House, 1st floor, Moi Avenue in Mombasa. You can link up with us on our social media pages at Pima Insurance Agency on Facebook and Instagram. For more information, call us on 0724 017 913 or 0734 691 090 or 0725 725 319. Your satisfaction, our joy.
Kirk TV is very promising, and judging from what is happening with other media houses, I would just say that our hope is that Kirk TV will continue to thrive, and even to outdo many other stations. It will continue to mission, and we also look at a point where Kirk TV will be the station of choice, not just for Presbyterians, as we say, but for all Christians across the board. We are looking at a situation where Kirk TV, again, as we are doing right now, will be the station where, because we have so many other stations, Christian stations, but you want to be seen as that one station which gives the right doctrine, the right doctrine, and also a station whereby it will be able to bring together all the churches, all Christians together, as opposed to segmentizing, Christians. So we look at that point where everything Christian will be
under one roof.
And that is Kirk TV.
To partner with us, send your financial support to pay bill number 401-9613, account partner. Pay bill number 401-9613, account partner.
All right, welcome back again as we continue this discussion on copyright and music laws. Like before we took that short break, we were talking about, the artist understanding what they are signing in and how different bodies are able to work for your work to be copyrighted. And just coming back to our discussion, even as we conclude in the final minutes of this particular discussion, Ian, as we come to a conclusion, say, for this discussion, there is that aspect of saying, how can I have breached someone's work? What can be considered as a breach of someone's copyrighted work? In what aspects? For instance, maybe the use of a photo, the use of a video.
So, if I may use an example, just yesterday, Nonini, the artist, posted on his Twitter page an advert which was using his music. The advert was by a tech company, and he proceeded with also posting the demand letter that he sent to them because they had no rights to use his music for commercial purposes, right? So this tech company had posted a video on their TikTok using one of his songs, and they did not have any copyrights from him. They did not have any synchronization rights for the video, and so much more, right? And so he's decided to sue them, because this is a big established artist who knows his rights, who has been around the block a couple of times, right? So instances like that show how, is an example of how infringement of a copyright works. So if your work is used in any way, apart from probably things like in the news or fair use in terms of research or review, if your work is probably distributed, reproduced without your authorization, or probably if another work derives from your work. Let's say I come and look at your painting and go do a similar painting of my own. So that constitutes infringement of copyright.
He's talked about, that scenario of an artist being able to understand that my work has been copyrighted, I should pursue this. But we find so many artists have gotten themselves in that position where they see clearly their work has been used, but they are not able to pursue that particular work for them to get the benefit that they should be getting. Is that the scenario? And or rather, what scenario do we see from that in the part of artists? You see your work has been infringed, but you don't want to follow up on that particular work.
I'll say one thing. Anything that you invest in, you need to take so much time into it. Like if you invested in music, I think you need to take more time. That is the reason why on the international scene we have people who understand clearly what music entails. Because if you've gotten yourself into music, don't just be excited that your music is being consumed by public. You need to get to the bottom of it, on what happens. What should I do when this happens? And if need be, get someone even to enlighten you, to educate you. Get someone who maybe has been there before, their music has been consumed in a manner like maybe your music has also been consumed. So that even when you're approaching the matter, you don't just jump to the public, but you're able to get to the bottom of it. And before even you run to a media interview to accuse some of these things, get into the bottom of it. Because again, when it escalates, now it gets even worse, because maybe the people you're trying to fight with, they have more muscles than you, so you end up maybe spending more money than what you are to make. So before maybe someone has consumed your music in a manner that you're not comfortable with, it is always good to get to the bottom of it and try to get. And when you're going there, don't go without information. If need be, go with someone and say, there's a person who takes care of my music, there's a person who maybe this is my lawyer, and I've realized my music is being consumed in this manner. Now, if you don't get a solution, then there's a way now you can get to it, because there's in a way you'll get into it and you get someone to tabulate and tell you, this is the much you're supposed to be paid for this infringement. This is the way you're supposed to be paid for an advert to use your song. So you are able to get that information. And now if it doesn't work that way, now you can take the other step. But most of the time we see someone jumping. Another thing, someone also wants to get a mileage in publicity by jumping into it, so you lose the money, and sometimes you even look bad. Because maybe the outreach that you had to it is not informed. So bottom line, be informed. Get information on what happens when this thing happens. Because music as a content can be very, very, very rich. You can just do a song and all of a sudden everyone is consuming to that song. So you need to be informed if this happens. Even for your own sake. If my music is viral, how can I benefit from it? Because again, your song can be so big and you're just feeling good. And maybe if it was another person who is informed, his or her life would have been changed through that. So in all these things, be informed. What happens when a certain thing happens?
Yes. And coming to you, Jan, is talking about being informed, but as well, you are informed, and you get to this point, you find that this person has infringed my work, or rather I need to take legal steps in regards to pursuing the works that I have done. If you realize that your work has wrongly been used and you under the copyright laws, what now step do you take legally?
So the first thing would be what I'd advise creators would be, the first thing would be to reach out to advocates who are competent in intellectual property, and then they'd probably look at it from a case-to-case scenario. But normal procedure is a demand letter should be sent to, depending on what you want. If you want the people who are infringing on your rights to stop it immediately, you can do a demand letter telling them that if they do not stop infringing on your rights in ABCD manner, then you're going to move to court. Or if you want to be compensated for the infringement that has already happened, then you can do a demand letter to the same effect, telling them that I want to be compensated, or these are my rights. You did not have a license to whatever ABCD, so you need to pay me a certain amount of money, right? So if depending on the response from the demand letter, some people might not
take it seriously.
Yeah, take it seriously, or might not take it seriously. Then you can move to court. Moving to court is in the commercial, because this is business at the end of the day, is in the commercial section. Depending on how much your claim is worth, you could move to the High Court commercial or the magistrate's commercial court. And when you go to court, you're not only going to seek compensation, but you're also going to seek other things like exemplary damages, so that it can be an example to other people who are trying to infringe. You can also seek other orders, like, let's say they are making fake copies of your work, right? You can ask the court to issue you with something called a Mareva injunction, where you go into the warehouse or whatever where those infringing copies have been stored, and you go and you pick all of them to prevent further infringement on your rights. Right? So I think it mostly depends on a case-to-case basis, because some infringement might be ongoing, some might have already happened, and it's out there in the public and there's nothing that can be done. So it's on a case-to-case basis. However, what I'd advise is find a lawyer who's competent in intellectual property, and they'll be able to advise you accordingly.
All right. And as we come to you, is advised, from the legal perspective. You, as an artist manager, as a person who has interacted, with different artists and what they do, just briefly, in less than 1 minute, what would be your parting shot in regards to that?
I would just request artists take music seriously, because the energy you put into your content, or the energy you put into your works, reflects back or comes back to you. So when you do that music, when you're getting into music, be informed, go through all those steps. Don't take music lightly, because it has changed many people's lives, and you as too could be changed through that music. So don't take any step for granted, because eventually you might need the step that you're taking for granted. So copyright your works, make sure that everything is done clearly, and you've involved the parties that you're supposed to involve, like the advocates, like the copyright bodies, like you've kept your work very clear. Even when you're getting into any deal, be very clear about it, so that eventually you don't regret. Otherwise, let's keep on doing what you're doing. Thank you.
And thank you so much. And that is where we wind up this particular discussion. Of course, it's a long discussion that we could talk even forever in regards to guiding artists and people who create content on how they can be able to safeguard their works. But this afternoon, thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time so that we can have this particular discussion. Nyanchonka Ian is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Thank you so much for making time this afternoon. And Bernard Mwaniki, aka, or rather most popular as G. Bernard, thank you so much for making time this afternoon. He's an artist manager and also music distributor, of course. That is where we wind up this particular discussion on copyright and music laws. Of course, having told you what you should be able to do, then I'm sure that you've been able to pick one or two things that will help you in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, this is Kirk TV Partnership Week Legal Thursday. Will be coming up shortly in the afternoon with yet another different discussion. Of course, it matters to do with law, justice, and legal affairs. But for now, good afternoon. My name is Chris Sambo, and keep watching Kirk TV.